let's visualize our data. Therefore, I will just take that level 1 floor plan and I will duplicate it. Right click, duplicate view, and just say duplicate. Now we have a copy. I will rename it real quick. I will call it something like, I don't know yet. Let's call it scheme. Okay. And what I want to do is I will show you now different options of how to put color on, let's say, a wall. And the simplest or the most easy or the easiest way to do it is to just right click on, for example, this wall and say override graphics in view. You could say by element, then by this element is you just override the color by this very element you've selected. By category means for each or for every wall in that view, or by filter. Let's start real easy by element. I just click on it. This window pops up and I have different options. I can say visible or not visible, for example, the surface pattern. I could say no, give it a different pattern, not defined by a material, but let's say solid fill, and let's give it a different color. For example, blue. And this now is for the surface pattern. Let's see what happens. Click on OK. And as you can see, nothing has happened. Why is that? Because it's a surface. But in this case right now, we have cut through our wall. So we need to change the cut pattern instead of the surface pattern. So again, right click, over graphics and view by element. And now we say cut pattern over here. So again, pattern, let's make it something diagonal, for example. Color is red. And say OK. See, and what I chose is just to override the foreground pattern. I could also define the background color, which is white right now. So again, right click, override element, and let's change the background to be a solid fill and to be yellow. See? And this I could do for only this wall or for all of those walls. Again, I select now this wall and now say override graphics by category. And I will do more or less the same. I say a solid fill in the foreground and it's supposed to be green. See, now all walls have changed its color, except for this one, which we have overridden by element. There's another way to do it. Instead of right clicking on an element or on a wall, I could go to my properties in my view and go to visibility graphics override, or VV as a shortcut. So I go to edit, and in here I look for my walls. And in here you will already see there's an override, which we have defined by right clicking before. So this is practically the same. You can see on the top cut, which is a cut pattern, and in here you can see projection surface. So let's do the projection surface for this moment, for the whole category. And let's say if it's a surface, I want it to be blue. And what I also want to have is I want to have all the lines overridden with a dotted line, which is, let's make it red. And the line weight are 6 points. Okay. So right now nothing has really changed because, as I said before, all of those walls are being cut. So if we change the height of a wall, for example, let's select that wall over here. And the cut plane is now at, I guess, 1.2 meter. So if we change the height of that wall below 1.2 meters, let's make it 1 meter, you can see now this is a surface. It's not being cut anymore. So the color has changed. Another way to do it is to overwrite your objects by a filter. So let's create a new floor plan real quick. I could just copy that one over here, but this time around I just go to view, I go to plan views, floor plan, and the type is a floor plan. That's what I want to have, and I need to uncheck that that box over here. Do not duplicate existing views. For each level you have created, you can only create one floor plan, for example, unless you uncheck this box here. Then you can do how many views you want to be you need. So again, level 1 is now available. I click on OK, and as you can see now, there's no override anymore, which means all your overrides you have created are specific to your view. There's an option to do it to all your views, but that's later. For now, just let's go with a filter. In order to set up a filter, I can do so again by right-clicking on it and say override graphics in view by filter, and then this window will show. And as you can see here, I have no filter added yet, so I need to add one. But there's none we really can use right now, so we have to create one first. So cancel and click on edit new. So let's create a new filter, and I just click on new, give it a name, and I call this filter fire waiting. And this filter goes for walls. And now what I need to do now is I need to define a rule, which means I want to have a parameter which is called fire rating. So this is a fire rating parameter for walls, since we have checked walls. I select that filter, and this filter equals, let's say, F90. And click on OK. So now I've created a new filter. Now I need to add it to that view. So click add, and over here we have our fire rating. Okay. And now I have to determine what happens if I have that rule applied to my view. So what happens if if a wall has a fire rating of F90, I want to have it in its cut plane a red solid fill pattern. Click on OK. And as you can see now, nothing has happened because none of our walls have set yet F90 fire rating. So if I choose that wall and go to my fire rating, which we will find under edit type, and it's somewhere over here, and I will type in F90. Those two walls of the same type, since this is type parameter, have changed its color. So I will immediately know which of my walls have an F90 fire rating associated. If I want to check, for example, real quick, do I have all the information implemented already? I can do so by creating an overview and scheme, which has a certain filter applied to it. So for example, I can create a floor plan, which I'll call now, rename scheme fire rating. And in that floor plan, I will have a filter applied, which tells me, or which shows me, which walls have a parameter with F19 fire rating. I can add another one if I want to. Again, I could just right click and say add by filter, or I can go again here to visibility, graphics overweight, edit, go to filters and create a new one. Same workflow. In this case, I just duplicate that one. Fire weighting, let's rename it to be 60. And it just goes for my walls. Get checked. And this time I don't type in 90, I type in 60. Edit. And this F60 file rating now has an solid fill pattern in, let's make it orange. Okay, now I choose that wall over here and tell it it's F60. Alright, again, you can see that type of wall now has changed its color to be orange according to our filter. So, what if we have multiple levels? So we need for each level or each floor plan then an overview of our file rating. So therefore we have a view template, and a view template we can apply to multiple views. And in order to create one, I can just go to view, and over here you will find view templates. Just click on it, and I could say apply template properties to current view, or create a template from that current view, for example. And I'm a bit lazy, I just say create template from current view. And I call that one fire weighting. Fire weighting for walls. Okay. So in here I can change the scale, for example. It can be, so I could say each of my floor plans should have a 1:100 scale. The detail level is about to be, let's make it fine. And my filter shows the fire weighting. I can define much more in here. I could also define if the floor plan has shadows or will cast shadows if I want to. I could define if I want to overwrite my model categories, my objects, my 3D elements in the end. I could say all my columns in each of those floor plans are always green, for example. So just click on not those columns, I need structural columns. They over here. Again, the cut pattern. Again, I like solid fill, and I want it to be pink. And now all of my structural columns will be pink according to the view template. It doesn't really matter about the filter, because filter only goes for parameters if there's a certain information in there. Okay, so this now is my fire weighting, and you can see the view template over here. So we have just defined a view template. Now we need to apply it to our view. So I say to this view, scheme fire weighting, I will apply my fire weighting walls template. And now all of our columns have been changed to be pink. And if I go now to that other floor plan we have created, I will change the view template in here as well. Fire weighting walls. And now the color has changed. And as you can see, because we have changed its color by its element, the override is still in here. If you want to delete that override, right click on it, override graphics by element, and say reset. Then it's fine again. So you can create multiple views for multiple levels and apply for those multiple views the same view template in order to visualize a fire rating, visualize a certain door type, for example. This not only goes for floor plans, we can do the same thing for sections, for details, and also in 3D. So let's create a 3D section. First thing we need to do is we need to create a perspective view. And in order to create a perspective view, we go in here and click on our house and select camera. And first thing off, I will define my point of view, which is, let's put it somewhere in our pool area, and we look all the way up to here. And then this 3D view will open up, and you will find the 3D view in our browser under 3D views. And here you find it in bold type 3D view 1. And let's change the crop. I can just drag those bubbles if I want to, but to make it a bit more precise, I select size crop, and I like to define by 300 to 150. And now we have a much bigger crop, and you can see the wall is still a bit low. Let's change it back to be connected to, or to be constrained to level 2. So this looks better. And now we could define a view template with of our perspectives. So we could say with a certain view template which tells our perspectives to cast a shadow, to be of a realistic style, and so on. So let's do that real quick. So let's change the graphic display to be, let's say, shaded, and to cast shadows, and to have fine details. And what we also want to do is, let's check out the graphic display options. So we want to have smooth lines. We don't need any transparency. We want to have that ambient occlusion. And what I would never recommend is something like photographic exposure, which usually causes a lot of trouble in your image. And also those things are fine usually. We could put a bit more shadow in there to have a bit more of contrast, but usually that's fine. We can add a background, and let's give it a sky. And now we could say save as view template, which I want to do, save as view template, and we call it perspective. And as you can see, some of those boxes are unchecked, which means those options over here are not included within the view template. So I can say I create a view template which only controls for each view the shadows, for example, or only the background, but not the scale. Looks completely different. I want to change the shadow quite a bit, so I'll go to sun settings, and I want to have a sunlight from top right. Apply. We already have a sunlight from top right. Let's say top left. Not kinda. Let's change the azimuth and altitude. So let's put it to 50. And let's change the azimuth. Also easier ways, but doesn't matter really. Okay. And this looks pretty fine. Let's create another perspective, and this time around let's create a 3D section view, which I wanted to create initially. So back to level 1, create a 3D view, camera, and I will create, let's say from here to there. Let's change the crop size. Let's make the width again 300. I think we still need more. 400. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to have a section from it. So now it gets kind of hard. The first thing we need to do is we need to right click on that view cube and say set current view as home. This is really important. After we have done that, we go to our properties and enable the section box. Now you can select that box over here and you can create a section. And the easiest way now is to maneuver on your view cube to get a top view and then drag that arrow to here. It's a lot more precise. And after we've done that, we can click on that tiny house, our home view, which switches it back. And now it looks, I think it looks fine already. Let's apply that view template, perspective. This is already kind of nice. Let's change the shadows again. And now you see it's grayed out because our view template controls our sun settings. So we need to go in here. It's supposed to be lighting. We uncheck that. And now we can change the sun settings. And I want to cast this shadow from the top left. Looks much better. And yeah, click on OK. And I still could change the color of my structural floor, for example, to be black if it's cut. So what I'm going to do is I go to my view template again, look for my model categories, which are not included. I see, so I include it first, include, avoid model, and now go to walls. Cut pattern is a solid black. As well floors, solid black, and I think that's fine. Okay, the pool is another category. Then the pool is our generic model. So again, we go to our view template and look for generic model category. Here, generic model, solid fill, and black. This looks kind of weird below here. I think we need some sort of topography or topo surface. Let's add some real quick. I just go to my regular 3D view. I go to massing inside and I will add a topo surface. And now I place just some points which have a certain height or a certain elevation, which is set to 0 right now. So just place 4 points and click on OK. Let's check out our perspective. And as you can see now, we need to have a color from our topo surface. So let's go back to 3D view and we need to define a building pad. Click on building pad, make it the top view, select a rectangle, and let's cut off our pool area. Okay. I can also check it real quick in here with our section box, how it will look like. And building pad, as you can see, is on the wrong height. It has nothing cut out yet. So we need to select it here. And we need to change it to be minus, what was it again? I think 2 meters. Yeah. No, probably a bit more. 2.5. Fine enough. And if we go to our 3D view, you can see our pool area has now been cut off. It has a building pad. The color of the topo surface I don't really like, and in here it's different. If I would change it within our view template, model category, and look for topo surface, topography, and change the cut pattern to be, let's just make it white. Okay. Oh, it's fine. Okay, it works. Still want to change the height. So now this looks much better. We still could change the perspective if we want to. Easiest way is to choose that full navigation wheel. And for example, I could change now, let's go a bit more up. Just click and hold and move your mouse up. And now I want to look a bit more downwards. I can walk closer. And I think this looks much better now. And once I'm done, I just close it. Okay, let's hide that section box. Right click, hide in view, element. And last thing I want to do is, let's render that image. And we just use that Revit rendering. So we go to view, and there are multiple things we could do. We could render in Revit, or we could render in cloud. Cloud is something completely different, so I just go to render. And this is just a quick rendering. So what I would always recommend is, instead of going for the best options right at the beginning, just go for medium, because it takes a lot of time. So just take medium settings and check out how it looks like. Sky, a few clouds, sunlight from top left, and we don't have artificial lights. We haven't associated them. Let's just click on render. See, didn't take that long with our medium settings, and we already get a good representation. And I want to adjust, materials don't look that good. Let's change the material. I don't want to have a brick wall, it's supposed to be concrete. So I'll just close that one. We select that wall and edit the type and say, no, it's not common brick. This now is concrete. And we can check out how it will look like in our appearance. Here you can see the image. This is how our rendered material will look like. Let's check out for those other materials. Do we have the same asset? Let's change those tiles as well. Select that build up, go to edit type, edit, and let's check out the assets of our tiles. I'm certain there are other ones, so let's just replace this asset. We go to our asset browser and look for tiles. Tile. And let's see what we have there. Yeah, let's take that one. Say okay. And now let's do a better rendering. Hi. And let's go for it. Alright, I think this looks fine enough. We can adjust the exposure, which I will like. Let's put that to 12 and make the shadows a bit stronger. Saturation goes to 0.7 and let's make it a bit cooler. Apply. Yeah, this looks fine. Okay, we save it to project. Okay, now we have created a couple of views. We created floor plans, sections, details, and even renderings. And now the question is, or the last question is, how to put them on a sheet. So let's create a new sheet real quick. Go to browser, right click, new sheet, and select one of our title blocks. We just have one in here, so just choose that one, A0 metric. And now you can find sheets here in our browser. And now we just need to drag those views onto our sheet. And the viewport is a bit big, so we just double click in here and we define what kind of section is this. Okay, I think this section we don't need anymore, so I just delete it. Yeah, I think I just delete it. And you need to define a crop region. So make this a bit smaller. And after you're finished, right click and deactivate that view. And this looks pretty much fine. Let's add another section and 3D view, view 1. Oh, let's rather put the schedule in here. Schedule makes much more sense. So we also can put schedules in here, our pool information. And here's our schedule. We have now created a sheet with a lot of different views, even with a schedule in here, with perspectives, with details, with sections, floor plans, and everything we have done in Revit. So I think now you're really good to go and have fun, try it out, and see ya.